Hello, everyone.
Happy Friday, folks, and happy March Madness to those who celebrate.
Yes, I won't take you on down the rabbit trail, but my alma mater, who I've never seen play anything anywhere on TV, played Michigan last night and lost, but I'm very thankful I got to see them play.
Yes, for sure. And happy spring. Hopefully your weather is better than ours. We started the week 82 on Monday and a blizzard on Wednesday, and we're without power for 8 hours. So we're thankful to have power.
Yes. Happy first day of spring.
Well, yesterday was first.
I know,
yeah.
but I mean, we woke up to snow and ice everywhere. And
yeah, it was a mess. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's joining us today, and back from being out of town last week. Like usual, we'll go over some of the deals. So next week is really a number of deals are ending next week. So YouTube TV's $69.99 pricing for the first 6 months ends on the 31st. Yes, power is good. And it's currently 10 days for free. The Disney plus Hulu bundle, that's $2.99 a month for the first 4 months. That is dying on the 30th. And Fubo upped their rates, their discounts by $30 that they're offering on both Pro and Elite, making them $54.99 and $64.99 for the first month, respectively. DirecTV Stream still at $25 off a month for the first 3 months on Choice and Ultimate. And Sling is still half off and 1 month free unlimited DVR for a month. And Roku and Fire devices are still on sale at various retailers. So what we're going to discuss this week to start off is ads. Everyone loves commercials, right? And people who've worked in the advertising field for several decades, being totally sarcastic there.
We've been on both sides of the ad equation. We've written them, helped produce them, and we've consumed them.
And ads continue to be a source of frustration for many streamers. As I've said before, and you see all over, streaming began as a way to get your favorite content for less with minimal advertising. The former is definitely no longer true, and the latter has gone that way as well. And so a report came out this week from World, W-U-R-L, on the state of advertising in streaming and connected TVs, so TVs that are streaming, getting their data from the internet. And it reported that ad loads for connected TVs, so streaming, are averaging around 9 minutes per hour. And to put that in perspective, linear TV averages around 15 minutes per hour of content. And so it's still less, but it's continuing to creep up more and more. And according to World, more than 80% of households in the U.S. now have at least one connected TV, like a smart TV or a streaming player from Roku or Amazon. And streaming now accounts for 41% of total TV viewing time, up from 31% 2 years ago. So pretty steady growth there. World also found that more people are looking for free content. And that's not a shocker, given inflation and given the constant regular price hikes of streaming apps. More people are looking for free content. And they say, quote, as audiences move to streaming, they are seeking out free content. Fast platforms are seeing a significant uptick in adoption. 47% of U.S. households now engage weekly with fast services, unquote. And it's finding that no surprise that ad revenue is growing for streaming services, saying, quote, ad spend on connected TV is looking rosy, with eMarketer double its 2021 levels. In fact, CTV growth is beating out all other categories of ads. Dave Bernath, General Manager of Americas at World, backs us up by saying, quote, the CTV market is maturing and how viewers consume content is changing. While streaming TV has established itself as a primary viewing destination, it hasn't reached its full potential, with overall growth leveling off in terms of both time spent and monetization. 2025 will be a year of reckoning for many. Publishers and streamers must seek new ways to reach, engage, and monetize viewers, while advertisers need to rely on better data and targeting strategies to drive more effective outcomes, unquote. So what does this mean for us as consumers? It means a few things. Ads are going to continue to grow. We are going to, at some point, and it'll be interesting to see when, but ads at some point are going to reach what we see on linear TV. And obviously they're not going to go from 9 to 15 minutes instantly. It's going to continue to grow. And it's inevitable as the progression of people move to streaming continues. It also means that ads are going to become more invasive, like the ones I mentioned, autoplay ads, ones you can't pause, ads and content, ones that are veiled, but you can tell, the thinking eye can see that it's advertising, like product placement and such. Could also mean that ad-free plans continue to rise in price versus ad-supported plans as platforms, as companies seek to push users to the ad-supported because it's going to make them more money versus the ad-free plans. It could also mean further innovation on the part of advertisers and platforms to keep us on platforms longer, and that's really what the report was highlighting, was the push by both advertisers and streaming services to keep us on platforms longer so they can bleed even more, take even more blood out of that turnip of advertising. Because it's, as the report is saying, that time spent on platforms is decreasing. It's going down, or at the very least it's plateauing. So this begs a few questions. How are you going to deal with this increasing ad load? Are people going to go to fast platforms more? Because if we're going to see ads, if we're going to see more of them, why pay for them? Kind of thing. And when are we going to see ads on streaming platforms rival or match what we see on linear TV? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry to hear that, that we're cutting in and out, seeing that in the chat. I know I had mentioned at the top of the show that, or of the live stream, that we lost power on Wednesday. I saw reports in our area that Cox Internet is having issues. So hopefully it continues to go off without a hitch for you.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that, guys. Perils of living in the Midwest. Yes. Anyway, sorry, I had a little jump there. Well, that's all really interesting, and it also makes me wonder about premium content. The best shows that the different companies have and the different platforms have. How are they going to treat ads there? And will there be at some point in the future still something like what HBO used to be? Remember, HBO never had ads, but it had really good content that you paid for. So it is changing, and as one evidence of that, just to kind of further talk about ads, we want to talk about Roku in specific. So they kind of stepped in it a little bit this week when they said that they were testing an auto-playing video ad that ran before you got to the Roku home screen. And this is just a shot on one of the forums. It was not well received. Let's just say that. As you can see from this, it was not. People thought it was pretty terrible. And so we want to talk about that a little bit. So we saw the ad once on Roku.
Yeah, I saw it.
We didn't actually think, you didn't think it was horrible.
It wasn't horrible, but I can understand why. I think it was a 10-second ad for Moana 2. That said, I totally get why people took to social media and the like to voice their displeasure with it, because and it was about 10 seconds in our test of it. Roku spokespeople commented that Roku's business has and always will require continuous testing and innovation across design, navigation, content, and our first-rate advertising products. Our recent test is just the latest example as we explore new ways, like John was talking about, innovation with ad placement, as we explore new ways to showcase brands and programming while still providing a delightful and simple user experience. So Roku says it was just targeting a portion of its customers, but again, by the reaction on social media, it seems like it was broader than that. Some people said the ad
that they could skip it. Others said they couldn't. And Roku has really long been favored against Fire as a better way if you don't want ads to just get to the content you want to watch.
Well, at the very least, less cluttered and less busy.
That too.
Homepage.
Yeah, so Roku had recently added static ads, which are pretty easy to block out, but the auto-playing ad's a different story. And that article that I showed earlier from ARS Technica, they said if Roku increases its ad load on customer devices from still images to ads with moving pictures and sounds, it will test customers' limits. Some who have tolerated a static image will not be more accepting of distracting ad formats. And we would agree. We tend to think this move, and especially if they go down this road, will put them more in the same place that Fire devices are at. But like John said, it's going to become more challenging as time goes on to avoid ads. They're going to be more intrusive. So just begs a couple of questions. Do you think that Roku's going to eventually make this widespread? And would you leave if it does get that way? And if so, where would you go? And just know that we're going to keep watching, and if this becomes something that they force on all users, we'll make sure to create a video and see if there's a way to turn off those autoplay ads.
Assuming there is, yeah.
Like there was on Fire.
Yeah, assuming there is, and hopefully there will be. We'll be interested to know if, for those of you on Roku devices, if you saw the ad. Next, we're going to move on to ESPN and its direct-to-consumer app. And really the question is, are they going to cause brand confusion with this app? We've spoken a lot about the upcoming app, tentatively called Flagship. Details, again, it's expected to be in the $25 to $30 range, coming out late summer, early fall, right before NFL and college football college football season, and is supposedly going to house all of its content. And this is substantial, as ESPN is often named as the most needed channel for people looking to cut the cord on cable. In a recent newsletter from CNBC's media and sports reporter Alex Sherman came out last Thursday, and if you don't get his newsletter, it's usually fairly insightful. He argued that ESPN could be setting the stage for some serious brand confusion that he argues could backfire for ESPN. He said, quote, "When ESPN launches whatever it decides to call its flagship platform, it will need to clearly explain to customers what they're getting in the more expensive service. Subscribers will have the option to bundle Flagship with Disney Plus and Hulu. ESPN Plus will likely be marketed as a tier of the more expensive platform rather than its own standalone product. In other words, it will be effectively a Flagship Lite, which will be the artist formerly known as ESPN Plus." He argues that ESPN is going to take a two-pronged approach with its content. The first one is to sell its content outside the cable bundle for the first time. Really, the key point for this, he argues, is to attract younger viewers who don't subscribe to a cable or satellite package. He anticipates that Disney will have an all-out advertising blitz to gain new subscribers, including working with phone companies like T-Mobile to do something similar to its Netflix on Us plan and other bundling options. The point is to get as many subscribers as possible, especially at the beginning. The second prong is to radically improve its sports app, which is on smart devices and connected TVs, to, quote, "include all of ESPN's live games, a personal AI-built sports center, all of its documentaries, new e-commerce options, an alternative broadcast for games, a user guide that directs people to games, a custom integration for ESPN with ESPN Bet for gamblers, and fantasy sports players, and more," unquote. And he says it will likely include some kind of user-generated content. So he says that begs the question of what is going to be the result. It's going to be ESPN either via cable or via the app. Disney, he argues, has no interest in getting people to cancel cable. They're like Fox with their upcoming DTC app is trying to straddle both. He says that ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro has previously said he is agnostic about how someone gets the content. But understandably, Disney execs aren't saying the one thing most of us already know, that they're going to want as many people as possible to subscribe to this app, because otherwise, why are they sinking, what I'm assuming, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, into this app? And then he says, so this quote I found interesting regarding everything ESPN is doing. A key point here is that the ESPN app will become the hub of everything ESPN, no matter if you're an authenticated cable subscriber or a cord cutter. While there will be an ESPN tab on Disney Plus, which already exists, but it's just for ESPN Plus now, viewers will have to be in the ESPN app universe with its custom look and user interface to access all of its goodies. So our thoughts with this, in classic Disney fashion, I think they are risking brand confusion, because what they're going to do, you can look at it now with the Disney bundle, they have how many different options, throwing a new...
and not to mention the Max, the ones that also include Max.
Yeah. So it's bound to have numerous bundles, and making it challenging for people to know which plan is best for them. Naming is going to be key here, so it doesn't further confuse people as to what they're getting. It was reported last week, I believe, and people thought it was going to be either ESPN 360 or ESPN All Access. Disney shot that down, said no, that's not the case. But what is going to have to be key here is that Disney is going to need to make it incredibly intuitive, or they could potentially hinder subscriber count in the beginning. And so that we get a lot of questions regularly about the ESPN DTC app. Alex Sherman says naming should come out in the next month or two, and that pricing will probably be later, closer to the beginning of the summer. And so, hopefully it will be in that $25 to $30 range. I think that's really also going to be the other key issue there, is how much is it going to be. And interested to know for y'all if you're going to consider leaving your live service to get ESPN. It won't get you everything, of course. I know for us, during football season, we will have it in all likelihood. But other than that, the rest of the year, the other 6-7 months out of the year, we, in all likelihood, would not have it.
Yeah, it will be really interesting to see, and it will be confusing.
It will, in true Disney fashion.
It'll be confusing. Oh. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic, which is actually about Apple TV Plus. We have started watching it again recently.
Through a free
trial. Through a 3-month free trial, which we'll bring up, as you'll see in this point. Apple's losing a lot of money, and we were just talking amongst ourselves, wondering how much of that is due to all the free trials that they give away of their service. Because if you buy like an iPad or a computer, and someone in our family got an iPad, so that's how we got the 3-month free trial, and we're using it to binge our shows on there.
Yeah.
It doesn't yet feel like something that I think you could keep all year, every month, and have fresh content to watch all the time. So I think that's one of their challenges. But a more pressing challenge to talk about here is the money they're losing. So they are not profitable. This new report from The Information that the Wrap commented on reported that Apple is still losing $1 billion a year, $1 billion with a B, on streaming. And it spent over $5 billion a year on content since launching Apple TV Plus in 2019. Trimmed that by about $500 million last year, but still $500 million. Sorry, trimmed it to $500 million, which is great, but they've lost a lot of money. However, let's put this in context a little bit. So Apple itself had $391 billion in revenue, operating revenue, annual revenue, for fiscal year 2024, and it had $57 billion cash on hand, so it's been able to absorb these streaming losses. However, we can't think of any companies that want to keep losing $1 billion a year. I mean, they're not going to just keep doing that forever, and even when John and I were talking about it, it took Netflix until just like last year to become profitable, but they didn't have the deep pockets of a big company like Apple TV Plus has Apple. And again, it's not really the content. It has good content. Morning Show, Ted Lasso, Severance. It has Friday Night Baseball, MLS Access, MLS Season Pass. But the company Apple does not put out data on its platform. It buries it in its services division along with things like Apple Books, Apple News Plus, Apple Fitness, Apple Care. So it's hard to know what the stats on Apple TV Plus really are. We do know that the return of Severance brought 2 million new subscribers, but that's about it. In that Reuters report that I just showed on screen, they said that it's believed that Apple TV Plus just hit over 40 million subscribers. How does that compare? Netflix has over 301 million. Disney Plus has 125 million. Max has 117 million. So you can still see how much farther behind Apple TV Plus is. And that just begs a few questions. So how long is Apple going to be happy losing this much money? Especially given that it just cut its content costs. And is it going to seek to bundle its platform more? Comcast currently sells a bundle of Apple TV Plus with Peacock and Netflix for $15 a month, but that's only available to Xfinity internet and TV customers. So will they try to put a few more bundles out there and see if that can help them bring in some more revenue?
Yeah, and there's a comment in the chat about YouTube Premium Lite. I was able to find it through some searching. It is available out there. It's my understanding it's available across the board, but just a simple internet search was able to bring it up for me. And also the comment about ESPN Plus being buggy. We've experienced that on and off. Generally, like many of K-State's women's games are on ESPN Plus, and we'll watch them, and generally it's okay, but we have experienced issues. And given that Disney has had regular known issues with Hulu Live, I can definitely empathize with the concern that not to trust ESPN, because that's And
sorry, just one other comment here in the chat on waiting to cut cable until YouTube TV goes down in price. I think you might be waiting a long time. Their price hikes are only going in one direction, and that's up.
Unless they put out a skinny bundle kind of thing.
If they do, and we would love to see them do that, then that would be a good time to maybe they drop it to half their price and they don't give you everything that they have. That could be something to keep your eye out for. But we've not even seen any rumblings about that.
No, not at all. So next topic, Peacock is adding RSNs in some locations. We've known this for a while. I believe it was since last summer or early fall. Well, that came to fruition this week. And Comcast has 4 RSN channels under their umbrella. And then what we like is that they're not forcing it on subscribers. You can add them on. You must have Peacock Premium or Premium Plus to purchase one, and so you can't get it just on its own. You have to have one of those Peacock options. And those 4 RSNs are NBC Sports Boston, Philadelphia, California, and NBC Sports Bay Area. And so per Peacock, they say, quote, your ability to access the content of the RSN add-on subscription that you purchase will be determined on whether your IP address is within such networks in market territory. And they're saying, unquote, and they're saying that will largely depend on a zip code basis. And I believe Nicole has up there what teams are available there. So for Boston, areas likely to get access, they're saying Massachusetts, Eastern and Central Connecticut, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. That is going to cost $14.95 a month. To get Philadelphia, these should get access to the Philly metro area, Eastern Pennsylvania, Southern and Central New Jersey. That one will cost $24.95 a month. To get California, these areas should get access: San Francisco Bay Area, Northern and Central California, parts of Oregon, and Nevada. This will cost $17.95 a month. And to get the Bay Area one, it'll be the San Francisco Bay Area, Northern and Central California, parts of Southern Oregon, and Northwestern Nevada. including the Lake Tahoe, Reno, and Carson City region. That will also cost $17.95 a month. So those varying prices will be on top of the $8 or $14 monthly you're already paying for Peacock. And the RSN add-on is currently only available if you get the service billed directly from Peacock and not a third-party service. Though Streamable did report that customers who are subscribed to Peacock via one of the Xfinity Stream Saver bundles are able to sign up and get it directly through Peacock. Again, we like it because it's not forced. People can choose whether or not they want it. And it's another incident of what we have seen continue to happen in the streaming space, where what used to be considered on-demand apps, so Peacock, Paramount Plus, Hulu, and others, where they're growing beyond that by adding live sports and becoming sort of a quasi live service for certain types of content. And we believe that this is something that we're going to continue to see happen as the streaming space and streaming apps evolve, again, to attract more customers.
Mm-hmm. And it's curious, two of those, the California and Bay Area, I wonder, there seems to be a lot of geographical overlap there. So it makes me wonder what team or teams are, not on one than the other.
Yeah, and it was listed in that article that you showed, and Peacock didn't, there was no documentation as to people in that area if they wanted both, if they would get some type of discounted option or not.
Yeah, that would make sense. And again, it seems like a lot, but if that's the only way to watch your team's games, at least you can still get that for. You can choose to pay it. We really appreciate they're not trying to put this on. That would be. Yeah. You'd probably have a lot of people cancel Peacock if they had to pay $20 for teams they didn't care about.
For sure, yeah. And I would agree with the comment in the chat that YouTube TV needs to add YouTube Premium as a perk. Mm-hmm. And that's a key differentiator between them and Hulu.
And Hulu Live, we've said that. Yeah. Okay, well, let's look at another story here quickly. And this is our last story, actually. This is on ESPN buying NFL Network. So we discussed a little over a month ago that ESPN was in renewed talks to purchase NFL media assets. In a recent podcast, Andrew Marchand, sorry, not sure if I'm saying that right. And I want to show you guys the screen. Sorry. Discuss the discussions that are happening between Disney and the NFL for Disney to take an equity stake in the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, NFL.com, and its fantasy football operations. I just have to believe this is tied to ESPN Bet as well.
Yep.
Anyway, talks have long been rumored. It's coming to fruition. Marchand reported that ESPN may be paying upwards of $2 billion to secure NFL media, have it in its ecosystem. He also said there's a possibility that the NFL could take a stake in ESPN if the deal happens. Currently, Disney owns 80% of ESPN. Hearst Communications owns 20%. He compared the potential purchase to ESPN getting NFL rights back in 1987, which gave it a significant advantage in carrier negotiations, as distribution was paramount. Now that's changed. The content is king. And again, this would get them everything under NFL media umbrella. It would help entrench ESPN in the NFL for years to come. And it would help ESPN and Disney stand apart from other streamers that don't rely so much on the NFL, and would let ESPN go directly after subscribers versus depending on other bundled packages. And Marchand had said, when you look at Netflix and Amazon, they don't necessarily need the NFL. Those businesses aren't based off of it. But if you're ESPN, deepening that relationship for the long haul makes sense, and it could be a game changer. And it could help ESPN get exclusive access to the NFL draft, which currently airs on NFL Network. And then on top of all of this, one more thing to show you all here. Oops. There you go. ESPN hired away award-winning director Artie Kempner from Fox Sports to take over Monday Night Football duties. It's believed to be with the intentions of him directing the Super Bowl after the 2026 and 2030 seasons, further helping it leverage NFL content. So why is ESPN doing this? We talked about this a little bit just now, but in one word, it's flagship. The soon-to-be-released direct-to-consumer ESPN streaming app. On some level, this does make sense. It could help ESPN's negotiations with cable and satellite distributors, and it could elevate even further ESPN's status as a preferred partner with the league. It's not shocking, but it is concerning for a number of reasons. One, the NFL Network has been involved in a number of carriage disputes over the years, most notably with Time Warner Cable for its first 9 years, and then with Comcast. This would give the league more leverage in disputes, and it makes the ESPN app more appealing, if not potentially more expensive. I mean, you don't outlay this kind of cash and not look to recoup it.
Exactly.
So how would this acquisition, if it goes through, impact the pricing of flagship? Is it going to drive up the cost of ESPN for pay TV providers to offer? And that's cable, that's YouTube TV. So definitely something to keep watching.
Yeah, it is. And the marriage, the agreement makes sense on a number of levels. But again, like Nicole said, our concern is that it's going to eventually cost us as consumers more down the road, either immediately or as it goes on, because Disney is absolutely, if they do this, is going to look to recoup those costs. And if subscriber numbers aren't what they want for the flagship service, that could be even more painful for us to recoup, for them to recoup.
Yeah.
So
the NFL is at its height right now. But I do think it does need to be a little careful because, especially with the betting coming in, and if they consolidate too much with ESPN, I just see potential pitfalls there. And we still remember when baseball was the most popular sport in America. And if people think it's rigged, like really think it's rigged, it can fall fast. So it'll just be interesting to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's all we have this week. NFL Plus, great question. From what I've read, ESPN would get that, and there's
another opportunity for confusion in Disneyland.
Yeah, and from what I've read, there's been no indication of what they would do with it, if they would somehow try and meld it into ESPN Plus or whatever, or just leave it as a standalone thing. Being the way I view Disney, I would foresee them killing NFL Plus, just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
But there's been nothing that I have read as reported as clear, concrete what they're going to do with NFL Plus if they do come to an agreement.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging with us, everyone, and bearing with the streaming issues.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful we were able to make it to the end with you guys. We are planning to be back next Friday. So between now and then, we hope you all have a great week.
Yes.